Welcome to our next video. Are you watching this year's edition of Tour de France? Who are you cheering for? In our continued focus on this year's tour, we are putting our spotlight on the youngest Tour de France champions. Number 5.
Octave Lapise.
22 years and 280 days.
Octave Lapise.
This was a French professional road racer and track cyclist who competed from the 24th of October 1887 to the 14th of July 1917. He is best known for winning the 1910 Tour de France and the men's 100-kilometer bronze medal at the 1908 Summer Olympics, although he also won the Paris-Roubaix and Paris-Brussels one-day classics 3 times each. He left the race early in his first Tour de France in 1909 because of wintry weather in July, but not before finishing second on stage 2 to eventual Tour winner
François Faber.
The next year, he faced off against Faber, an Alsacian teammate who had been comfortably ahead before being involved in a dog accident at the foot of the Pyrenees.
Octave Lapise.
Ultimately prevailed by a slim margin of 4 points, boosted by several punctures Faber's bike sustained on the decisive stage from Caen to Paris. Between 1909 and 1914, he made a total of 6 Tour de France starts, but only this one resulted in a finish. His cycling career was cut short by World War I on July 14, 1917.
Octave Lapise.
A fighter pilot in the French army was shot down close to Fliery, Meurthe-et-Moselle. He was fatally wounded and passed away in a Toul hospital. Number 4. Egan Bernal, 22 years and 196 days. Colombian cyclist Egan Arly Bernal Gomez competes with UCI World Team Ineos Grenadiers. He was the first rider from Latin America to win the Tour de France in 2019, and he was the race's youngest victor since 1909. Bernal won the Giro d'Italia in 2021 to earn his second Grand Tour victory. Bernal was raised in Zipaquira and was born in Bogota, Colombia. He is the oldest child of Flor, a worker at a flower plant, and German, a Salt Cathedral employee. He learned to ride a used bicycle at the age of 5 after seeing his father, a passionate amateur biker. At age 9, he entered and easily won a race in his hometown against the advice of his father. The reward was a training scholarship. He spent 1 semester at a Columbia University in Chia. He first concentrated on mountain biking and excelled at it, winning competitions in Brazil, Costa Rica, and the United States, and earning silver and bronze in the youth cross-country events at the UCI Mountain Bike World Championships. In Colombia, Bernal's 2019 campaign got underway. He participated in the national competitions and the Tour Colombia, a stage race held in his country. Bernal, who came in 4th overall, was unable to successfully reclaim his championship in the race. Later, Bernal traveled to Europe to race in the Paris-Nice Marathon. The Colombian outperformed Nairo Quintana overall by dominating the crosswinds, the individual time trial, and the climbs. After placing 3rd in the Volta a Catalunya, Bernal was set to represent Team Ineos at the Giro d'Italia before suffering a collarbone injury after a training accident in Andorra. He started competing again for the Tour de Suisse, where he took first place in both the overall standings and the Queen Stage. 2019 saw Bernal win the Tour de France for the first time. Number 3. François Faber, 1909. François Faber, 22 years and 187 days. François Faber was the first foreigner to win the Tour de France. He lived from January 26, 1887 to May 9, 1915. François Faber had Luxembourg nationality despite being born in France due to the fact that his father was a citizen of that country. Faber was a laborer before turning pro, working as a porter, waiter, shipyard worker, and dockhand, like the majority of pre-World War II professional cyclists. He was a large man, standing 6'1" and weighing 200 pounds, earning him the cycling moniker the Giant of Colomns, after the district in Paris where he resided. His finishes in the Tour de France indicate a gradual ascent, starting with his abandonment in 1906, moving up to 8th in 1907, 2nd in 1908, and winning in 1909. One of the most dominant performances in the sport's history is Faber's 1909 Tour de France ride. That year, he set a record by winning 5 consecutive stage races. The 1909 Tour cyclist experienced wind, snow, and rain harassment, possibly the worst tour year for weather. 1909 saw Faber prosper. Midway through the 1910 race, he had a serious crash, which gave teammate
Octave Lapise
the victory. But after 1909, Faber was probably never going to win a Tour. The Tour of 1910 added hills in the high mountains, allowing smaller, lighter men like
Octave Lapise.
to scurry away. Faber was a huge man, but Faber wasn't done yet. He won the Tour stages of Bordeaux-Paris, Paris-Brussels, and Paris-Roubaix after 1910. When the First World War broke out in 1914, Faber enlisted in the French Foreign Legion. Shortly after receiving a telegraph informing him of the birth of his daughter, he was killed at the Battle of Artois. Faber was wounded while crossing no man's land with a wounded friend. The battlefield was entirely destroyed by artillery munitions, and his body was never discovered. Number 2.
Tadej Pogačar.
2020, 21 years and 365 days old. After joining the United Arab Emirates team for his debut professional season, Slovenian
Pogačar.
made a splash in the world of professional cycling in 2019,
Pogačar.
who won the Tour de l'Avenir in 2018 and went on to win the Volta ao Algarve and Tour of California, as well as 3 stages of the Vuelta a Spa. Finished 3rd overall in his debut Grand Tour, further demonstrated his promise for the future with a spectacular performance in his first race.
Pogačar.
Snatched the overall title of the 2020 Tour de France from Primož Roglič on the individual time trial to La Planche des Belles Filles. This was one of the most dramatic upsets in Tour de France history. He took first place in 3 stages: the Best Young Rider category, the Mountains category, and the overall classification.
Pogačar.
Repeated that performance in 2021, dominating the Tour de France with 3 stage victories and 3 classifications in a season in which he also won the Tirreno Adriatico, the UAE Tour, Liège-Bastogne Liège, an Olympic bronze medal, and the Il Lombardia. He also finished 3rd in the Tour de France. He got engaged to his co-worker during the off-season.
Pogačar.
Won the UAE Tour again in 2022 to open the season, and he later claimed the Strade
Bianche.
title with a thrilling 50-kilometer solo attack. Number 1. 1904 Henry Cornet, 19 years and 352 days. Henry Cornet, a French cyclist who won the 1904 Tour de France, was born Henry Jardry on August 4, 1884. He died on March 18, 1941. He was the youngest champion, having just turned 20. Cornet was born in the Pas-de-Calais region of northwest France and was given his mother's name upon registering for birth. His stepfather then recognizes him after learning his name is Jardry. Why he changed his name from Henry Jardry to Henry Cornet is not entirely clear. When he entered the second Tour de France in 1904, he was a skilled amateur who had won Paris and Fleur in 1903 but was barely recognized outside of northern France and Belgium. He had just started working as a professional. The organizer, Henry Desgrange, used the readers of El Auto, the journal he edited, to publicize his unnamed opponents. For his sense of humor, he referred to Cornet as the Joker, or Le Rigolo. He is characterized as being upbeat, with widely separated eyes, a trumpet-shaped nose, and a wide mouth that quickly spreads into a smile. When the first race was held in 1903, the Tour de France had already shown to be a success, and both the rivalry between the riders and the fervor of the people who cheered them on soared to often hazardous heights. The 1903 winner, Maurice Garin, obtained food from the race director, Gilles Lefebvre, while others were refused. Riders rode trains, rides in vehicles, or had themselves hauled by drivers. A rider named Pierre Chevalier was often left tired in the darkness of night just to resurface in the race. On the Col de la République outside of Saint-Étienne, fans attacked cyclists and only dispersed after Garin fired his gun. On the final day, other spectators threw nails, causing Cornet to ride the final 40 kilometers on flat tires. The French cycling organization disqualified the top 4 finishers following several allegations of widespread cheating. Despite taking 3 more hours than Garin, Cornet was proclaimed the winner despite getting an official warning, which shows that his personal conduct wasn't exactly impeccable. So, as of July 2022, 1904 Henry Cornet, who was 19 years and 355 days, is still Tour de France youngest champion. There you have it. Thank you for watching our video. Please like this historic video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting facts about the Tour de France, the greatest cycling competition in the world. And if you want more cycling facts, you should definitely subscribe to us. See you in our next video.